And then I got into a car accident responding to a priority one call in July.
Like a year ago, July.
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years.
So 2021, where Haas did not survive. So I had to come to Jesus moment the next day.
Were you banged up?
I had a minor concussion, bit my tongue. I think it was just the circumstances in which the accident happened. We hit a tree, an older tree, and the tree is always going to win. And the way, just how much room there is in the back of the kennel for the dog to move versus I didn't have my seatbelt on, so I got jostled around. But there's just far less room to go. The way we went, being in the driver's seat from wherever Haas was in the back, and the marks on his head, it looked like he had hit his head off the the door popper control arm. Because I don't know what else back there would make those two specific marks that are at that hinge point. But I was able to get in the back of the car that night. A supervisor showed up, broke my window to get me out. I was able to get in the back of the car with him as he was taking his last couple breaths. One of those nights that changes everything. No longer like that. I want to go get into it and make a difference and be there for the other officers that need backup and stuff like that, especially with Bolt. But I don't lose any sleep about not getting to a scene in time to catch a guy anymore.
Yeah.
And that's something I got to deal with all the time.
Well, I can only imagine, how tough it is, but I also think, life is filled with split-second decisions where, we do the best we can with the information that we have, and your heart's where it needs to be. You're trying to make a difference, and kind of similarly, no different than the example used overseas, where it's like, I don't ever take any solace in the fact that we're putting dogs on a lower rung of the totem pole than human beings, but that's the reality of why we're using them, is that if that saves a human being, then that's part of the gig. And in this case, while that may not be a direct action of what happened, is that the intent is that you're trying to get there with a capability to help save human lives, and a bad scenario happened. But it's not like you were careless, right? I mean,
there are things that could be done better.
Well,
there always is
the case,
It's like guys give me they don't give me shit purposely with the intent of the accident, but they're always like, dude, get out of the way, or drive faster.
Yeah.
So I'll pull my car out of the way, let all the other marked cars go, and I'll just get in the stack.
Yeah.
But it's not it wasn't losing Haas was a pivotal moment, but then also the mortality of it all. What if I died and my kids now don't have a dad?
Yeah.
Or my son at the time. I didn't have two at the time, but it kind of changed a lot of perspective.
Sure.
Perspective for me. At that time, I was still on the SWAT team, and that was part of in my head, I was like, do I need to be doing this too? But my wife was actually out of town when that happened, so my buddy called her to tell her I was in an accident. So I'm talking to her on the phone, and she's like, was at a bachelorette party, so she's been drinking, and I'm trying to explain to her what happened as I'm crying. And she's like, do I need to come home? I was like, well, unless you can teleport, not gonna be able to make it. I'll be okay. I'm going to the hospital. I got a ride back to my house. I just kind of sat on the couch. And then my canine sergeant texted me the next day, asked me how I was doing, and then asked me if I wanted to, if I wanted to stay on canine. And I told him I don't know. Between Witty Scare, Benny getting killed, Iris getting blown up, and now this, I was like, I don't know if I want to lose another dog that's been pivotal to me. And so he let me. He's like, you don't have to answer now. And then my SWAT commander actually called me, and basically had the similar discussion that we had about me leaving the department earlier, before even getting on canine. Like, will you regret it? And he goes, he had a dog that died from an accident at the house. And he said the best thing he did was give it a chance. He goes, you can always, if you get another dog and it's not it, don't wonder what if, and let that be it.
Yeah.
So right then is when I made the decision I was going to stay and I'd take another dog. And he made a phone call saying, like, we need to get him a dog now. Like, this can't linger. So I was off for 2 weeks. Went back to work and just like a marked unit capacity, riding with the proactive guys, like just being a police officer. And then that's when John Brandon actually called me and told me, he asked me if I was going to take another dog. And they told me that he has 2 that he hasn't bought because he doesn't have anyone to sell them to. So we did the whole bidding process. And I got a week approved to go up to Shallow Creek to test dogs. He gave me Bolt, Marco at the time, put him in the back of the car. I drove up there.
So you renamed him Bolt?
Yeah. So we went and I just did a little bit of hunt testing. I had him bite me. Motherfucker bites hard. Like,
yeah.
And everyone says their dog bites really hard, but taking a handful of bites from dogs, and that dog bites really hard. Yeah. I feel bad for the guy that decoys him all the time. Yeah. Because I only let him wear a comp suit.
Yeah, that's good.
I only wear a comp suit. That's why I don't make him do stuff I don't do.
Yeah.
But I just tested him for 1 day. And it was like, kind of like one of those things, like, I don't know if it's like being overly sentimental about like working dogs, but like, I told him, I was like, he's it. I don't even need to see the other one. I'm going to sleep and I'm going to go home in the morning. I drove back, had him certified on dope, or certifiable on dope in 18 days.
Wow.
Like he borderline taught himself. Like it was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
He was pre-titled in KNPV, so his obedience was really nice. I had to show him like building search stuff, like off the trial field. Picked everything up really fast. He's super, super clear-headed. Kind of made the transition really simple. Like I kind of felt like, okay, this was the right call. This is where I belong. If I wouldn't have done this, I would have regretted it.
Yeah.
I think if I would have gotten a dog that was like trying to eat me all the time, it probably would have been different.
Yeah.
But every now and again, like, you can't help but compare one dog to another one. Like I kind of wish you had a little more fire like Haas did, or I kind of wish you did this like Roland did. But for all his like weird little quirks he has, I think he's the right dog. And I think he's probably going to be my last working dog. But he's super nice, and he definitely brought me. I don't want to say I got to the dark place, but I think he took me off the road I was on to get there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how bad I would have spiraled.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to my wife and now 2 sons. Like, they don't need to see their dad trying to struggle and deal with that on his own.
Yeah. I mean, do you hold yourself accountable for it?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, it's in the GSP report. I had it red facing me. What I thought was there's like a raised median in the historic area. I didn't see any like splash from headlights. So as I'm coming to the intersection, I remember seeing like vivid bright light, like almost like the cinematic, like scene by scene by scene. And then we got hit. I think it was another intersection. We probably would have just spun out. But because I hit that raised median and rolled the Tahoe, it hit the tree. But I do. And I was could have stopped, could have cleared 100 times better, could have done a lot of things, could have not gone to the call, could have it's one of those things I'm always going to think, what if?
I mean, that goes both ways though. What if it would have killed you?
Yeah.
What if it would have killed somebody else or both of you?
Yeah.
What if not showing up, would have resulted in something bad with the call that you were on? I mean, there's, to me, it's kind of like comparing yourself to other people. Like there's always people with a better deal. There's always people with a worse deal. It could have gone way worse.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, believe me, I'm right there with you. There's things that happen that make it really difficult not to say what if, or, oh, I could have done this better or whatever. But again, to me, you always go back to intent. The intent was not malicious. It was you're trying to help, and things happen. It's a dynamic world we live in, and to me, more than anything, like if you're going to what if, it could have gone better, like it could have gone way worse.